Welcome back, campers.
That was Kaitlyn.
And that was Genevieve.
And you have arrived at Camping is Cancelled and part 2 of our blind read of David Grann's The White Darkness. If you are new here, make sure you go back and start with the previous episode. I can't remember what number it's on, but...
It's the same title, but guess what? It says part 1.
Oh, thank you.
And this is part 2.
Yeah, so make sure you start with part 1 or what we are about to jump into will make no sense to you. And you'll miss a lot of really cool backstory.
Yeah.
I am really loving this story. And I don't want to talk any about it because I don't want to give anything away if people are struggling to find their pause button. So, should we just dive right back in?
We should.
All right. Lights out, campers.
Oh man, the mountains call my number one. I'm just a life-size lottery ticket in the hand of the one.
Part 3. A Spine of Steel. When Henry Worsley began commanding men in battle, he tried to emulate Shackleton. Foregoing the privileges of army rank, Worsley befriended the members of his unit and shared in their tasks. When his soldiers shaved their heads, he cut off his hair too, even though the look was, as a superior pointed out to him, rather un-officer-like. That's funny because I feel like now a lot of military guys have shaved heads or like the really buzzed heads.
It's the buzz with the porn stash.
Oh gosh. But we are in a different era.
Yeah.
I accept.
Well, they're also different nationality too.
British, that's true. Worsley espoused patience and optimism and tried to demonstrate to his men that, as he put it, their welfare and their lives matter most of all. Nick Carter, who is now chief of the General Staff, the head of the British Army, said that Worsley had a very caring and sympathetic attitude to his soldiers, or as we like to call them, his riflemen. He added he was one of those figures who people followed because he was quite an aspirational leader. People would like to be him. Though Worsley generally displayed a modest temperament, he had moments of flamboyance. When he wasn't in uniform, he liked to wear a bright-colored belt or shirt. He kept ferrets as pets, and he drove a Harley Davidson, a cigar often clamped between his teeth.
Genevieve, I dare say again, this man is you in a different universe.
Oh my God. I used to beg my parents for a pet ferret.
I would love a ferret.
Oh, every time I'd go stay with Diane, there was a pet store that we would go to. And I did get a hamster one summer. That was a canon event. And that hamster lived for a while. But I would always see the ferrets and I'd be like, I want a ferret. And my dad would be like, no, those things bite and are mean. And I was like, okay, fine.
Well, so do dogs and cats.
Yeah, I guess that's
hamsters.
true.
I got bit by a hamster. My blood is still on my childhood friend's bedroom wall. They've since moved, but they just painted over my blood. They didn't even clean it off.
Oh, no.
So my blood is probably like 5 layers deep now.
You go in there with luminol and it's buried in there somewhere. Yeah, hamsters can put a chunk, like dig a hole into your skin. Ugh. Anyway, ferrets, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like Shackleton, who considered poetry vital mental medicine, he could quote verse by verse such writers as Robert Browning and Rudyard Kipling. Oh, Rudyard Kipling wrote The Jungle Book.
Never, gun to my head. Never would have known.
That's okay.
Nope.
Every now and then my English degree comes in handy. When he was stationed abroad, his initial posting in 1980 was in Cyprus. He painted the novel landscapes, and when he first faced the threat of violence in Northern Ireland, he took up sewing to calm his nerves. Pretty cool. He could often be seen in his quarters with his needlepoint, Kaitlyn, at work on a rug or a cushion before seizing his weapon and heading into the streets.
Okay, I'm kind of down.
Once again, attractive behavior. When back in London, he volunteered at a prison to teach tatting, a form of lace making, to inmates.
Dude, did this
Who
guy
is
have
this
like
man?
high functioning autism? Like, did he
He had
grasp
to
his
have.
ADHD? Damn.
He clearly figured out how to harness it, focus it, and maximize
I
it.
could never. Never.
What a niche thing. I'm going to teach prison inmates how to make lace. But have you ever watched those videos
Oh my God,
of
yeah.
lace making? It's
Have you
mind-blowingly.
seen like the ones like the? I guess it's lace. It's not really dolly making, but with the needles where they just like literally hop needles over needles.
Yes.
And I'm like, and they'll just be looking at you, having a conversation, not breaking eye contact with you, and they're just
It's almost like
muscle
having
memory.
that complex muscle memory it takes to play like the piano, where you just get to a place where you don't even have to consciously think about it. It's just in you.
I mean, the closest I know you've gotten to this too is charting at the nursing home. Like, it got to the point where I could look off to the side, just look at the name, and then just, like, I knew where the buttons were.
Yeah.
And I knew in my head what I had, like, and I just.
So weird.
But that's crazy.
I couldn't do that now, but when you're in it
no.
and you're doing it over and over, it is like muscle memory. But yeah, really cool. In 1988, Worsley, by then promoted to captain, was drawn to the Special Air Service, whose forces, clad in black, had a mystique of unsurpassed fitness and daring do. Just as there were self-help books on Shackleton's methods, there were manuals on how to master the SAS's endurance techniques and practical leadership skills, including how to foster a team mind and the will to survive. Worsley signed up for the SAS's selection course, which is so physically punishing that participants have died trying to pass. In 2013, 2 men on a prolonged trek fatally collapsed from heat exhaustion. A third was rushed to the hospital and later died of organ failure. According to legend, after 2 candidates lost their lives during a test in 1981, the chief instructor remarked, "Death is nature's way of telling you you failed."
And that's why camping is canceled.
Yeah. And that's why we're not in the SAS.
That's bad. That's bad. That's such
Brutal.
Oh my God.
You made a comment last week about, is this like the Green Berets?
Yeah.
And I mean, that kind of sounds like it. This is so, that's crazy.
Look, I'm grateful for the people that do have that driving wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Could never.
No.
I wouldn't even survive boot camp.
No, not at all.
One yell at me and I'm saying, fuck you. I'd be that one little girl in the, I can't remember her name, but the camp counselor survival stories where she's like, I don't like outdoors.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not doing
I'm
this.
done. It just immediately faints and has to be carried away. Sirens blaring, except they wouldn't carry you away. They'd be like, death is nature's way of telling you you
bitch.
failed.
Oh my gosh.
So the course lasted 6 months, and during its first stage, Worsley had to complete a series of timed marches, known as death marches, through the Brecon Beacons, a mountain range in South Wales. He trekked for days in full combat gear, consuming little more than water and carrying a heavy rucksack. He could see other applicants collapsing and quitting. Their minds often gave out before their bodies. The marches culminated in what was known as the Endurance, a 40-mile hike over a 3,000-foot high peak that he had to finish in less than 22 hours while carrying a 55-pound rucksack.
Okay. This man, after hearing this,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, okay, he wants to trek
Okay.
across Antarctica. Okay.
You know what? That's probably fun for him.
Yeah, like, okay. Now I get it.
Yeah. The Endurance, isn't that also the name of Shackleton's ship?
Yeah,
I think we learned that.
so.
Yeah, cool coincidence. After completing this part of the course, he was flown to Brunei, where he was helicoptered into a jungle filled with orangutans and cloud leopards and poisonous snakes. He had to survive for a week while eluding a band of soldiers tasked with hunting him down.
Oh my God. I would OD on Xanax. The anxiety
Absolutely
of
not.
being hunted, like, you're being hunted. Ugh.
And also being hunted not only by people, but by cloud leopards.
I'm cool with the orangutans.
Kaitlyn, there is this thing that people will pay. I came across this on Book Talk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this effed up, I think, fantasy where you can pay to go to basically like a book talk camp for adults where guys will chase you through the woods. I'm
not. No. I Jacob knows.
No way.
Do not ever fake charge me.
No.
Like, ugh.
I was watching a girl talk about it on TikTok and I had to scroll past the video because it made me feel sick. Like, that is as far removed from something I would ever want to happen to me as possible. Holy shit. But yeah, it's for people who are into those like extreme, the fantasies of being like kidnapped
Like
and
dark
chased.
romance.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I'm not yucking anybody's yum
No.
if that's what gets your gears going.
But I ain't paying for that shit.
No.
Oh my god, that genuinely, like, I started sweating thinking about that.
That's what made me think of it. No. At least he's doing it, to make himself better at protecting his country.
Oh, yeah. He's just PETA from the Hunger Games, painted as a rock.
Just the fucking Hunger Games. Oh my god. Totally. Oh.
He can't paint.
I bet he watched the Hunger Games was like, pussies.
You know what? He maybe got some. Hey, I don't know.
Oh, so.
That's hilarious. God, I keep forgetting this is in 2015.
Yeah. Well, this would have been this was probably like 1990s or early 2000s. So he had to survive for a week while eluding a band of soldiers tasked with hunting him down. The administrators of the course had eyes on the ground to observe him to see what kind of clay he was made of. No. Later, he was subjected to an interrogation intended to break him. "You are beaten up," one applicant told a reporter, noting that any vulnerability was exploited. "If you've got a phobia about spiders, they'll use it against you." Each year, only about 15% of applicants pass the selection course. Worsley was among them. An SAS officer close to Worsley said that his gentle, artistic side could mask a very significant spine of steel. Worsley went on to serve 2 tours with the SAS, a rare distinction for a junior officer. One evening at a party in London in 1989, Worsley met Joanna Stanton. Whereas he often stood back warily in social settings, Joanna, a tall, graceful woman with auburn hair, moved with ease. She had worked for a time in Los Angeles, producing music videos for MTV. Though she liked to travel, she hated camping and the wintry cold. She's our gal. And she especially hated ferrets. No, Joanna. Still, she and Worsley began dating. "Talk about opposites attracting," she said. "Christ, I'm a complete pavement girl." Yet she loved the way that Worsley seemed to come from a bygone age. A man out of his time, as a relative once described him, believing unabashedly in ideals of courage and sacrifice. She loved his eccentric hobbies and how he recited poetry to her and held her with arms that seemed unbreakable. He loved her brashness and her ability to talk to anyone, whether at an art benefit or at a homeless shelter where she often volunteered. And he loved the way she punctured his stoicism and exposed his hidden self, always urging him to go out and achieve your dreams. For all her free-spiritedness, she was the steadiest presence in his life. He called her his rock. They married in 1993. Max was born the following year, and Alicia in 1996. Nick Carter said, "Worsley lusted after adventure, but also relished being at home with his family, teaching his son to shoot or to ferret."
Dude, I totally saw that line saying, teaching his son to shoot a ferret. And I was like, what? Like Joanna? Babe?
Joanna's made him hate ferrets.
Oh my gosh. That was just my
That's
dyslexia
funny.
or something showing.
Well, thank goodness. No, that's not what occurred. To shoot or to ferret, or simply cutting wood for the winter and cutting the grass. Because of his military postings, though, Worsley was often separated from his family as his father had been. In 2001, he was serving in Bosnia when a riot broke out in the streets. A civilian was beaten to death, and crowds began to chase Worsley. As he recounted in his book, he sought refuge in a cafe, but the crowds closed in, throwing stones and smashing the windows. How would Shax get out of this then? He asked himself. He knew that if he remained in the cafe, the situation would only worsen. I had to be decisive and make a move, as Shackleton had done. He pinpointed a place in the distance where he could find cover, and he made a break for it, dashing through the onslaught and summoning his regiment. He then diffused the uprising by deploying his soldiers around the area and persuading the ringleaders to back down, using what Carter later described as a very subtle use of coercion and negotiation. In 2002, Worsley was awarded the Queen's Commendation for valuable service in recognition of gallant and distinguished services. Many officers and soldiers admired him the way he admired Shackleton. Carter described him to a reporter as one of the most understated but bravest people I have known, and a soldier who had served under Worsley hailed him as a fiercely capable leader of men. Yet his military career soon stalled. Joanna recalled, he loved the soldiering part of soldiering, but once you command your regiment, at about the age of 40, all the postings after that are slightly more political desk-type jobs, which Henry hated. A former officer said that Worsley refused to jockey for position, noting that wasn't his style. Worsley, who had been promoted to lieutenant colonel in 2000, watched as many of his closest friends were becoming brigadiers and generals. His fascination with Shackleton, meanwhile, seemed to deepen. He spent hours at antique shops and auction houses in search of what he called Shackletonia, autographed books and photographs and diaries and correspondence and other memorabilia. Henry lost a fortune on it all, Joanna recalled. Okay, this man definitely has autism.
I'm obsessed with him.
I love it. I love it. At one auction, he bid feverishly on a first edition of Shackleton's book about the Endurance Expedition South, in which Shackleton had inscribed a message to his parents, "With love from Ernest, Christmas 1919. Every time Worsley made an offer, a person bidding anonymously over the telephone countered him and finally made off with the prize at a price of $7,000. Weeks later, on his 10th wedding anniversary, Joanna gave him the present. The inscribed book. Oh my God.
That's gonna make me cry.
Oh my God.
That's so fucking sweet.
Just imagine, though, he was at a bar later with his buddies cussing out that rival.
Ooh, but he's like going higher and she's like, stop. Stop.
God damn it.
That is so sweet.
Each had been unaware that the other was the rival bidder.
Aww. He
considered the gift to be his most treasured possession of all. Oh my God.
This is the kind of love we want.
I know. This is like some Outlander level shit.
It really is.
This is like blood of my blood stuff.
Do not worry.
Sassenach. Oh.
I digress.
Someday when I stand before God, I shall be able to say I loved ye well. I know I butchered that
That's
accent.
the kind of fucking book talk camp I would pay for.
And then he rails her like overlooking the battlefield right before he sends her back to her time. Oh.
That's the book talk camp I would pay for.
Oh my God. You know what? He sent her back pregnant. That's what he did in the show. That's what happened.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. Whew, I'm getting too much Outlander.
I know.
Getting flustered. In November of 2003, he made a pilgrimage to a place that he had dreamed of visiting since he was a boy, South Georgia Island. Not only had Shackleton and Frank Worsley found refuge there after the sinking of the Endurance, the two men also had returned to the island in 1922, preparing for a new Antarctic expedition. The day after their arrival, Shackleton had suffered his heart attack and died. His stillness was startling to me, for stillness was the one thing that I found it impossible to associate with him, Frank Worsley wrote. After Frank Worsley and other members of the expedition buried Shackleton, at a cemetery on the island, they found stones and built a cairn to mark the grave. And as they raised this makeshift memorial, Frank Worsley recalled, "A snowstorm beat down upon us. A ghost, it seemed to me, of the hurricane in which he and I had approached South Georgia after our boat journey from Elephant Island." More than 80 years later, Henry Worsley, carrying a rucksack and a sleeping bag, pried open the cemetery gate and went inside. It was twilight, and he could just make out the cairn and a granite tombstone, which was engraved with a paraphrase of a line by Robert Browning. "I hold that a man should strive to the uttermost for his life's set prize." Worsley put his sleeping bag on the ground and climbed inside it, facing the block of granite. Reaching out to touch it, I considered for a moment just how significant a moment in my life this was, he later wrote, adding, "I was about to spend the night beside the grave of my hero since childhood." Afterward, he found a sonnet by an explorer from New Zealand named Hugh de Lauder, which echoed his feelings so intensely that he annotated it and often recited it aloud. "Rest, Sir Ernest, rest beneath your star, all striving done and life's set prize attained. Not geographic goals, but greater far, the pinnacles of leadership you gained. Rest, Sir Ernest, rest. God knows there's none deserves it more. The long Antarctic night now friend, not foe, with South's white warfare won, and crew from death's dark door led back to light. How was it your endurance overcame the daily struggle just to keep alive long past the point where death would bring no shame? Half starved and frozen, how did you survive? And how was no man lost while in your care? God knows. God knows it well, for he was there." After his trip to South Georgia, Worsley longed even more to make his own polar journey, to obtain his own life-set prize, but he doubted that he ever would. As he put it, "I was afraid of the unknown, the planning, the training, the fundraising, and, not least, the risk of failure." At this point in the article, we will be sure to post these on our Instagram, but we're given these awesome photos from left to right of Ernest Shackleton, Jameson Adams, and Frank Worsley. And they are chef's kiss of everything earliest 20th century. I mean, the turtleneck sweaters, the pipe, the puppies.
He's standing like Sam. Little pigeon feet.
Oh my goodness. And the binoculars and the very intense gazing off.
Got a hole in his glove.
It's funny looking at that picture of Shackleton. He's very young in that photo. The other photo we looked at the beginning, he was a lot older. He just had like a long, like gray beard. But something about looking at these pictures, maybe it's because we have sons now, but when I look at these pictures, I just like see them as little boys.
Yeah,
like I look at them and I'm just like, that was somebody's little boy, or they were my little boys. You're gonna get me crying.
I literally everything I'm like, that is somebody's baby.
I know.
That's somebody's baby.
I know. And if they had like a terrible childhood, then my heart hurts for that baby. I don't think that Ernest Shackleton did, but yeah. That's
what I was gonna say.
Yes,
is looking at the picture of Frank Worsley. He's in. That's why I think I was also so confused that this was in 2015, because the black and white picture, Henry looks just like him.
Yeah.
He's wearing the same like toboggan-esque mask, and I'm like, oh, that looks like 1920s. like the 1900s.
I wonder if that was an intentional choice on the photographer's part to capture him in that light, because it really highlights how similar those men are, and that even though they were generations apart, that their essence, like, there's something about black and white photos that I feel like removes all distractions of color and
really puts the subject in focus.
You get a sense of them as a person a lot more clearly, and they feel like the same type of person. Shackleton, Frank Worsley, and Henry Worsley.
Yeah, they're both humans, just at different time periods.
With the same type of insane drive at their core.
That's, like, I saw a post, and I don't quite remember exactly. It was probably, like, something Roman Empire. It was something, like, far back. And somebody made a comment, and it's like, they weren't stupid. They were people back then, and that's literally the 20s for me. Like, because I'm so time stupid, that seems like 1,000 years ago.
No,
but it's not. Like, the person was like, they were just as smart as we are. We just advanced very quickly in terms of technology, but they are just as smart and capable as we are. So, like, the feats that they did are even more crazy because they did it with less. Yeah. So it's like Henry and Frank, like, it's crazy how similar they are.
And honestly, in a sense, even more so, because now the vast majority of us, we don't have even the most basic knowledge of, okay, you're out in circumstances where you need to navigate even a very basic boat. Could half the population do it? Certainly not.
Hell no.
Could you successfully start a fire without matches or technology? Certainly not.
I can hear them all now. Fam, we're cooked.
Fam, we're cooked. And we sound super dumb. Meanwhile, they're writing in their diaries, we shall perish like gentlemen.
Oh my God. Like, we don't write like they did.
Oh my God.
So poetic. So, like, not mind-fucking melting. And
truly.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm going to piss you guys off like I'm going to piss myself off. We'd be like, that's so puss. That's, oh my God. Yeah, I just trekked across the Antarctica. That was so cunty.
Oh, that was no.
With their little 1-2 finger clap. That shit.
Hashtag dental work incoming.
They don't do hashtags no more.
Oh,
that's
right.
us.
Oops.
That was us.
Oh, right.
We can't mock ourselves.
Whoops.
Hashtag did it. Hashtag Thirst Trap Thursday. Oh my God. I don't know, guys. We're all on the shit rock, hurtling through space.
We are.
Probably just a simulation in some big thing's computer.
Oh, right, because the world ended when Harambe. Yeah.
We hopped. Anywho.
Anyways. That was a long chapter we got through.
That was. So, now on to part 4. Plan of attack. One day in March 2004, Worsley was contacted by Alexandra Shackleton, the explorer's granddaughter. He'd met her several years earlier at Christie's in London when he had successfully bid on an autographed photograph of her grandfather. Afterward, Worsley periodically ran into her at lectures on polar exploration, and he had shared with her his desire to make an Antarctic expedition. Alexandra told Worsley that she wanted him to meet another Shackleton descendant, a great-nephew named Will Gow. Like you, he admires my grandfather very much, and for a few years now, he has had an idea for an expedition, she said. At a pub in South London, Worsley met with Gow, a 33-year-old banker with a pudgy face and squinty blue eyes that widened in moments of excitement. Why y'all have to do him like that?
Yeah, that was a very nice.
A pudgy face.
And the squinty blue eyes.
Gow eagerly explained that the centennial of the Nimrod expedition was a few years away, and that when the anniversary arrived, he wanted to reenact the journey. Worsley had steeped in the details of the failed journey. On October 29, 1908, Shackleton had departed for the South Pole with 3 other men, including a meteorologist named Jameson Boyd Adams, who was his second in command. After coming within 97 nautical miles of the pole on January 9th, 1909, Shackleton planted a British flag in the ice, taking, in his words, possessions of this plateau in the name of His Majesty King Edward VII. Y'all need to calm down. Calm down. That king didn't do shit. He then faced a terrible quandary. He knew that he could reach the pole in several days, capturing the Grail, but if he kept going, he would deplete the food the party needed for the return journey and jeopardize the lives of his men, who were already fading. Ultimately, Shackleton made what Worsley considered the most selfless and astonishing decision ever in the history of polar exploration. He turned back. Gow envisioned that the new expedition would be composed of descendants of the men who had explored alongside Shackleton.
Oh,
that's sick.
That is cool.
I've been telling my kid, that's sick. And he's like, no, mommy.
Oh.
No. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Now watch like all the descendants of men who explored alongside Shackleton are just like finance bros and
good God.
ping pong players.
Ping pong players. Oh. That's cool though.
It is.
They would try to reach Shackleton's farthest point on January 9th, 2009, exactly 100 years after he did, and then press on to the South Pole, completing, in Gow's words, unfinished family business. Worsley listened in amazement. Here was the chance of a lifetime. He was confident that the army would grant him leave for the expedition, and so, like two conspirators, Worsley and Gow began plotting their journey. They needed to find another recruit to raise $400,000
Whoa.
to cover the costs of equipment and travel, and they needed to train. Though they had polar exploration in their genes, they had no actual experience. They began a ruthless exercise regimen. Each tied tractor tires to a harness around his waist and then dragged them back and forth across an open field.
Todd, you know who you are if you're listening to this. He makes us do this.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you're ready. In 2005, they signed up for the Montane Yukon Arctic Ultra. Sounds like a beer.
Yeah, it does.
A race through the icy wilderness of northwest Canada, which is billed as the toughest endurance competition in the world.
Whoa.
Temperatures can fall to minus 50 degrees, and participants have had toes and fingers amputated because of frostbite.
Yep. I'm out. I only got 5
The
toes
fuck?
left. I'm out.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
Newsweek once observed that the event, which scientists have used to study the impact of extreme conditions on the human body, sounded like the premise for a Jack London novel. Oh my gosh, there's a picture of them with their little tires.
Oh my goodness.
Can I just say, that's not a U.S. tractor tire.
Okay. When it said tractor tire, I was like, God damn.
Like, literally. No, I'm so sorry, but that's just a typical, like
it looks like a
mid-size
car.
SUV tire.
Yeah. I don't think a single person's going to be dragging a tractor tire from around here.
Yeah, I'm thinking of, like, one of the giant, like,
So was I.
combine tires. Like, I could literally stand straight up in the rim of.
That's hilarious. They're so cute.
Oh my gosh.
God. What if we photoshopped our faces over the...
Hell, we can reenact with the tires I have in my yard.
Yeah. Let's see if we have what it takes.
Oh my gosh. And I will promptly fall into the mud and Jen will smoke me. And Todd, that's thanks to you.
Yes.
There were different categories for the race, and Worsley and Gow entered one that required them to trek on foot for 300 miles.
No.
A third of the distance their planned South Pole journey, while hauling all their supplies on sleds. They had 8 days to complete the race. Beyond coping with the physical demands, I wanted to see if I had the mental strength, Worsley wrote, adding any sign of quitting on this short event would spell disaster for the future challenge. If I did give up, I would have to seriously consider my place in the expedition team. Armed with flares and swaddled in layers of clothing, they dragged their sledge through dense pine forests and over mountains and across frozen rivers where Gao's foot once broke through the ice and into the water. They had been told that if they got wet, they had only about 5 minutes to prevent hypothermia, and Gao quickly lit a fire, dried his foot, and changed his clothing. You know, and that does take the mental strength to stay calm and not panic.
Yep. Yikes.
I mean, to start the fire, to like undress, dress.
Mm-hmm. Then you just keep going.
Whew. And onward the men went. Above them, the northern lights cast a haunting green glow. After several days of trekking, Worsley and Gao suffered from sleeplessness and sensory deprivation, and they grew dizzy from hunger. Soon they began to hallucinate. To keep going, Worsley resorted to drastic measures, imagining that he was pulling his sick daughter on the sled and had to get her to the doctor if she were to live.
Oh my God.
Okay, Balto.
Golly.
Damn. He and Gao slumped across the finish line, beating the time limit by several hours. That was really the first test, Gao recalled.
Wow.
In 2006, 2 years before the planned expedition, Worsley was dispatched to Helmand province in Afghanistan to provide eyes and ears, as he put it, before British forces were deployed to the region. He took with him his dog-eared copy of The Heart of the Antarctic, Shackleton's account of the Nimrod expedition, paints and brushes and a sewing kit, and a bag of cricket bats and balls to play with the locals.
Oh.
God, he's such a good person.
Yes, he is.
Oh my gosh. For months, he traveled across Helmand, conferring with tribal elders and mullahs. Isn't it crazy, though? Like, perfect person to be in leadership, but the good people, like, hate the thought of being in leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. And those are the people that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like Aragorn, son of Arathorn.
Mama.
Sorry.
Truly, though.
It's true, though.
He knew. Worsley later wrote in an article, surviving in Afghanistan was much about empathy with the people and their culture as it was about troop numbers and firepower. I love this man.
Can we just make him in charge of everything? That would be great.
Like,
Thanks.
I know he's British, but president.
I'm fine with
You know
that.
what?
You know
they
what?
need him as a fucking king.
Why not?
After gathering intelligence, he warned his superiors that the arrival of British forces risked stirring up a hornet's nest by agitating the population and provoking violent reprisals from the Taliban. His words were prophetic. Henry rightly foresaw the trouble that was to come. Tom Tugendhat, a member of the British Parliament, later told a reporter, but at the time, Worsley's alarms rankled many military and political leaders who were downplaying the dangers to the public, and if Worsley had any remaining hope of military advancement, his candor ended it. Yet he was no longer disappointed. In a commonplace book, he jotted down the advice Shackleton had given after the sinking of the Endurance. A man must shape himself to a new mark directly the old one goes to ground. Damn. And it occurred to Worsley that had he been promoted, he would not have had the time to prepare for the upcoming expedition and become the explorer that he had always wanted to be. He suddenly realized that he could fulfill some dreams, Joanna recalled. By the time Worsley returned from Afghanistan, Gao had found a third recruit, Henry Adams, a 32-year-old shipping lawyer. Adams seemed a bit pale and spindly for an explorer, but he had a genial personality, and he was deeply committed. What's more, he was the great-grandson of Jameson Boyd Adams, the second in command on the Nimrod expedition.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, that explains the picture of him.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like,
yeah,
that's
when
cool,
we were
but I don't know who
listing
he
them
is.
off earlier. Okay, that makes sense.
That April, Worsley and his two companions headed to the Baffin Island, a Canadian territory 900 miles west of Greenland. For several weeks, they trained with Maddie McNair, a 54-year-old American explorer who in 1997 had led the first all-female expedition to the North Pole. That's cool.
That is awesome.
This was the men's longest exposure yet to polar conditions, and they made embarrassing blunders. They forgot to turn off a portable stove and nearly engulfed their tent in flames.
Oh, shit.
Oopsies.
Oopsie. That'd be Kaitlyn and I.
As Sam is pissfully extinguishing the fire, we're like, oopsies. I didn't mean to.
Oh, my God.
They skied too slowly and never seemed to navigate along a straight line. One day, after Worsley declined to wear tinted goggles, he suffered from snow blindness. Yep.
Oh.
Oh, that would be... Oh, my God. My head aches just thinking about that.
I feel the throbbing in my eyeballs
Ugh.
just imagining it.
No. But he and the others learned from their mistakes and emerged with a better understanding, as Adams put it, of how to live on the ice. The trip, however, had brought to a head a simmering problem: the team's lack of clear leadership. Gow was ostensibly in charge, but the expedition was plagued by disorganization, causing tension among the men. Moreover, only a fraction of the necessary funds had been raised. In their tent on Baffin Island, Worsley broached the matter with Gow, threatening to drop out of the expedition if things didn't change. Henry didn't dodge bullets, Adams recalled. After some consideration, Gow asked Worsley to take charge. With his military background, it made very good sense, Gow recalled. Adams and myself were young whippersnappers. We were quite happy to have some wise old owl leading us away. In the 2 years before their departure, Worsley was consumed with the mission. Late at night, after completing his army duties, he wrote letters seeking meetings with potential donors. If he got his foot in the door, he would usually come out with money, his son Max recalled. His passion and his fire, you could see it within him. It gripped people. Like a general developing a plan of attack, Worsley spent hours poring over maps, laying out a precise route for the expedition. The more he studied Antarctica, the more forbidding it seemed. The continent is nearly 5.5 million square miles.
Golly.
Larger than Europe, and it doubles in size in winter when its coastal waters freeze over. Approximately 98% of Antarctica is covered in an ice sheet, which rises and drops and bends over the varied topography. The sheet, which in places is 15,000 feet thick, contains about 70% of fresh water and 90% of the ice on Earth.
Holy.
I don't remember that from school. Holy
No.
shit.
That's a science fact I feel like I would have remembered if I was told.
Damn.
Whoa.
Yet, Antarctica is classified as a desert
Oh.
because there is so little precipitation.
Oh.
I did know that, though. It is the driest and highest continent with an average elevation of 7,500 feet. It is also the windiest, with gusts reaching up to 200 miles per hour, and the coldest, with temperatures in the interior falling below minus 75 degrees. Scientists have used the Antarctic to test spacesuits for Mars, where the average surface temperature is minus 67.
Oh, okay. So it's colder there than on Mars. Okay.
I thought Mars was hot. Okay, guys.
Yeah,
This is a true crime podcast, not science.
Yeah.
Not science. Worsley, Gow, and Adams plan to begin their journey south of New Zealand on Ross Island. The island is bound by the Ross Ice Shelf, which extends over the Ross Sea and is the largest body of floating ice in the world, more than 180,000 square miles, and on average, more than 1,000 feet thick.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
Because the Ross Ice Shelf is easier to reach by sea during the summer than other parts of the continent, and because it is relatively smooth and stretches nearly 600 miles toward the heart of Antarctica, it was the starting point for the expedition to the South Pole during the golden age of Antarctic exploration. Shackleton and Scott and Munson all began their expeditions on the shelf. Like these explorers, Worsley and his team would head south across the ice shelf, a journey of nearly 400 nautical miles, until they reached the Trans-Antarctic Mountains, which divided the continent and extend to the Weddell Sea. To get to the polar plateau, an elevated, almost featureless part of the continental ice shelf where the South Pole is situated, the party would have to cross these mountains, which rise nearly 15,000 feet. On the Nimrod expedition, Shackleton discovered one of the few passable routes, a glacier-covered valley 25 miles wide and 125 miles long that runs between the mountains like a frozen causeway. There burst upon our vision an open road to the south, Shackleton wrote. They're like the damn fucking hobbits.
Man, I feel like you'd want hobbit feet walking on.
Oh yeah.
In that climate.
Oof. Still, the glacier, which Shackleton named Beardmore. Oh my god. Is this not?
It really does sound
Lord of the Rings?
like names from Lord of the Rings.
What, isn't that one of the trees' names? Like
Treebeard.
Treebeard, yeah. Beardmore.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. After William Beardmore, a Scottish industrialist and a patron of his expedition, is treacherous. Its elevation is 8,000 feet and its surface is riddled with crevasses. You lost me there.
No thanks.
Straight across, hiking a mountain, cool. A crevice? No, I'm not. It's not happening.
Something about that, I have a fear of crevices the way that some people talk about having a fear of like deep water or like black water. The idea of those existing grips me
Like
with
great
anxiety.
depths.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Just the hole with no feasible end to the center of the earth.
I'm okay.
No.
You know, if I don't
Nope.
have to, I don't want to.
Ugh.
The last of Shackleton's Mancuran ponies had disappeared into one.
No.
It didn't disappear. It fucking fell. It died.
That's so awful. Well, I mean, it just shows you how, like, crazy deep. I mean, they can be, like, short, you know, like a dozen feet down, or it can be, like, hundreds. I mean, it essentially can be, like, a cliff.
Gosh.
Oh, God.
When Scott crossed the glacier during his later expedition, one of his men suffered a fatal head injury after falling into a crevice.
Ugh.
Only a dozen people, the same number that had walked on the moon, had trekked the length of the glacier. Worsley referred to it as his nemesis.
Oh, my God.
If he and his companions survived the crossing, they would emerge on the polar plateau, where they would ascend the 10,000-foot-high Titan Dome to reach Shackleton's furthest point. Finally, Worsley's party would trek the remaining 97 nautical miles to the pole, whose elevation is 9,300 feet.
Whoa.
Every spare hour was devoted to the project, and Bloody Shackleton became a phrase frequently used by the children, Worsley wrote. By October of 2008, he and his colleagues were ready to embark on what had been officially named the Matrix Shackleton Centenary Expedition. Before leaving, Worsley and his family gathered for an early Christmas celebration. Even though Henry had been telling Joanna for years about the glories of Antarctica, it still seemed to her like the most dreadful place in the world.
Mm-hmm. With you, Joanna.
I'm inclined to agree. Yet, she believed that, to borrow Thomas Pynchon's words, everyone has an Antarctic. Some place people seek to find answers about themselves. In the case of her husband, it was the Antarctic itself. And so she gave her blessing to the adventure, even though it threatened to take from her the man she loved. Worsley's decision was harder for his children to understand. Alicia, who was 12, saw his sled primarily as an object to play on. When the family exchanged Christmas gifts, Max, who was 14, seemed agitated. This was different from when his father was deployed by the military. He had not had a choice then about leaving them behind. This was a response to some mysterious inner calling. Max had written a poem about Antarctica, a place that now loomed in his own imagination, and he composed a short essay about his father's upcoming journey. I have heard many stories about Shackletons since I was very young, and as I grew older, I started to understand and admire Shackleton more, he wrote. I am very happy for my dad that he is doing what he has always wanted to do, but I am also worried for him. Even in the most barren place in the world, there is a risk of falling down a glacier or crevice. Joanna drove her husband to the airport, where she began to cry. He told her not to worry and quoted Shackleton. God dang. Better a live donkey than a dead lion.
Oh. I feel like that was Shackleton being like gentlemanly and not cursing. I feel like the quote's supposed to be better a live jackass than a dead lion.
I mean,
But yeah, that's very true. Part 5. Get wet and you die. On October 30th, 2008, Worsley, Gao, and Adams arrived in Punta Arenas on the southern tip of Chile. They went to a warehouse owned by a company named Antarctic Logistics and Expeditions. During the summer, between 30,000 and 45,000 tourists visit the continent, nearly all of them traveling on small cruise ships. Worsley's party had hired ALE to provide logistical support, which included transporting them by airplane to their starting point on Ross Island. At the warehouse, Worsley and his companions collected freeze-dried meals for the expedition. They faced the same predicament that had bedeviled polar explorers for generations. They could haul only so many supplies on their sleds, a situation that left them vulnerable to starvation. Shackleton, during the Nimrod expedition, wrote ruefully, "How one wishes for time and unlimited provisions. Then indeed we could penetrate the secrets of this great lonely continent." Worsley estimated that the journey would take 9 weeks. Each of the men would be limited to about 310 pounds of provisions, including a sled, and so they whittled down their kit to the essentials. Worsley packed his portion of the food, which was sealed in 10 bags, one for each week of the journey, plus an extra in case of emergency. His clothing included 2 pairs of pants, a fleece shirt, a down jacket with a hood, gloves, a neck gaiter, a face mask, 2 pairs of long johns, and 3 pairs of socks. He brought cross-country skis and poles. For climbing, he carried crampons and ropes. As the only member of the team with first aid training, he transported the medical bag, which contained antibiotics, syringes, splints, and morphine. I'm just going to throw this out there. I feel like each and every one of them should have received first aid training. You know? Like, that just seems like something you might want to do.
That might just, I mean, even basic.
Yeah. Like, how to tie a splint, how to, like, give yourself a shot of morphine, you know, that just, I don't know.
And it's not, it really isn't
how to take
that
a pulse.
difficult.
Yeah. I don't know.
Ugh. Yeah, because what if he were to go down and take his little kit with him?
Exactly. He made room for his diary and a copy of The Heart of the Antarctic, and he carefully stored what he considered the most vital piece of equipment, a satellite phone with solar-powered batteries, which would allow the men not only to record short audio dispatches, but also to check in every day with an ALE operator and report their coordinates and medical condition. If the team failed to communicate for 2 consecutive days, ALE would dispatch a search and rescue plane, what Worsley called the most expensive taxi ride in the world. The men permitted themselves the luxury of iPods, as well as a deck of cards and a few mementos. Worsley carried an envelope filled with notes from family and friends, which Joanna had given him to open when he needed encouragement. In his front pocket, he had tucked away one more precious object, the brass compass that Shackleton used on his expedition. Damn.
That's crazy.
That is cool. Alexandra Shackleton had asked Worsley to bring it with him, hoping that this time it would reach the South Pole. For Worsley, getting closer to Shackleton was a way of getting closer to himself. During an interview with an exploration website, he outlined the qualities that he most admired in Shackleton, including his optimism and patience, his courage, and his ability, when his men's lives were at stake, to instill in them the confidence that he would get them out of the desperate situation. Commanding the expedition was far trickier than commanding soldiers in the military. In Antarctica, his authority was not official, but merely granted, and he had no more experience as a polar explorer than his peers did. yet he felt the immeasurable weight of being responsible for their lives. He now formed a pact with Gal and Adams. There would be no egos, no pride, and if someone was feeling unwell or traveling slowly, then he should have no difficulty in accepting the offer from one of the others to carry some of his weight. On November 10th, the ALE plane was ready for departure. After decades of dreaming, Worsley's Antarctic journey was beginning. And that's where we're going to put a pause on part 2. Man, we're on a second journey before we get to him going solo journey. This is crazy that a whole group of men tried to do this. So does this mean that they're going to do it or that they're going to fail?
I just think that's so cool that they're the descendants of the, like, that's so cool.
The original group. Again, I remember hearing nothing about this. None whatsoever. This is so, oh man. I'm very invested in the story. Ooh. And if I wasn't feeling that my voice is about to start going, I would keep reading. But
yeah, no, I was reading with one eye open because they were starting to cross. I don't know if you saw me.
Oh, no.
Over here with my face scrunch, stuttering.
My voice is about to get that vocal fry sound that people complain about hearing in podcasts where you're like, November 10th, LA plane, what's ready for departure? Yep. Goodness gracious. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for joining us for part 2. We will be back in your feed next week for part 3. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah.
Don't let us know what happens if you know.
Yeah, don't because... Hey, this is a blind read.
Exactly.
So, tisk tisk.
We show up, we read, and then we shut off our brains until the next read. So.
But the comment of this episode, again, is what is your Antarctic?
Oh,
Where is your place you go to
learn about yourself? I do have to say that I think looking back on my life, the 2 things that have taught me the most about myself were my experiences giving birth to my children and my experiences of being a college athlete. Those were the times where I feel like I have had to, like, mentally and physically push myself past what I believed that I was capable of, but once I did it, I felt immense pride in myself, but also it does give you that little kind of bit of like, oh, that's what I was so afraid of. I did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, playing a college sport and giving birth, that's like very, very normal things that, you know, to do. And it shows you, you know, the very fortunate life that I've lived, that those are my experiences. But I also got a taste of that when we were on the Boundary Waters, and just being in those situations where we were in the wilderness.
It was a big step for me because I was like, I cannot ever have a moment alone. Like, I really, like, in stressful situations and, like, just every day, I just need a minute alone at the very least. And that was just on the shitter. And even then I was like, okay, somebody's going to walk up here while I'm peeing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that trip, I was like, oh my God, I did that.
You did. And you did it great.
Oh my God. I brushed my teeth without running water.
Yeah.
And I know how stupid that sounds.
No, it's not. I mean, there were certain things we had to do where the weather was absolutely fucking miserable. There were thousands of mosquitoes.
Oh my God.
And I'm not exaggerating when I say thousands, like a thick cloud of them swarming.
There was personality clashes.
Yeah.
Some people would have been voted off the island. But, like, there was drama with the food spilling.
Oh, yeah. Carrying stuff, like portaging. I didn't know how much of a part of the trip that would be.
I still have a bruise. Like, I think I will have a permanent bruise
I
from
really
that trip.
think that you, like, chipped a bone or, like, permanently damaged blood vessels.
Hey, but you know what? We didn't get any leeches on us. I don't remember any leeches on me. So.
No, we didn't. Ugh, I think Josh was the only one that got a leech. It was like between his toes or something.
We got to see a magnificent snapping turtle. Just literally, I think that morning was one of my favorite mornings of sitting on that rock. And we were just surrounded by water and trees. Nothing. It was just a quiet morning. and just cool nature. And it was like, holy shit.
That was really cool. I remember it was on the very last day, and you and I got to get out of the boat that we were in, because we were in the three, and we swam to that one like rock that was like overlooking a deep part of the lake.
The slippery rock. I felt like a badass.
And we jumped off the rock in the water, and the water was so refreshing. That was fun. That was fun. I wish that we'd been able to do more stuff like that on that trip.
Yeah.
But I am really glad for the experience.
See, but I think that's like, circling it back, really getting in touch with nature. Everybody has their Antarctic. Mine is not the fucking Antarctic. Mine is definitely like wilderness-esque of where like I can go and just be like, okay.
Yeah.
This is beautiful, and this is my life, and everything's not as big as it seems.
Yeah.
And I can truly like...
And there's something comforting about realizing how small and insignificant you are, and letting that be a good thing.
Yeah.
Like making you realize that, oh, my problems really aren't that bad. Now, I will say, thinking about them in this Antarctic stuff, whereas where we were in the Boundary Waters, most of the time you could pause, sit, take in the beauty of the natural world, and the worst elements we encountered were a thunderstorm and mosquitoes.
Yeah.
But it's very hard for me to wrap my mind around voluntarily entering into a place where if you do any like sitting and stopping to ponder, what's around you will kill you in a matter of minutes. The cold, the exposure, the steadily dwindling supplies.
The terrain changes.
Oh, like, yeah, the terrain, the deadly terrain.
Like all of a sudden, like all that snow's drifted over there, and now it's a pile, and then yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, no way to get food. You know, they're not going fishing. They're not hunting anything. It's just truly a desert wasteland, but of cold.
Like he said, the mental game that like you have to, it's not physical strong. You have to be mentally strong.
You're not going there kind of like how people go on backpacking trips or Boundary Waters like we did. You're not doing the Antarctic thing to escape and like reshift your perspective. You're literally going there to face something very deadly, and to see if you can do it.
Choose to do.
Yeah. And I can't say that I've had the drive to achieve something to a degree that I would willingly put myself in that type of situation. No. And I find learning about people who are incredibly fascinating, because a part of me wishes that I had that, but it's also
refreshing to see somebody use their free will to better themselves and not use their free will to murder people.
100%.
It's like it does correspond a little. It's crazy. It's like, okay, you chose to put all this work and effort into this,
an obsession,
and it may not be like something that like betters the world or like it's not. It's an amazing thing. I'm not trying to discredit that, but it's not. My life sucks. I'm just gonna kill people because of it. Yeah. My mom was a bitch.
Or I'm gonna be a prolific serial killer, like frickin' Israel Keys, you know, or people that just take away and cause harm and havoc.
So it is cool. I love, like, again, the mentality of it, of Henry.
Yeah.
Badass.
Using your free will to do something crazy, but in a way that does not actively bring harm to the world. Yeah. We need more of that on.
And he sews, and he cross stitches, and he goes to antique stores.
He teaches criminals how to make lace.
He paints.
Yeah.
God, I love him.
So cool.
Henry, how do we get you here? Craft night.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I just realized that my dog is Henry.
Henry. In my head, I've been trying not to say Henry Diane.
Oh my goodness.
No.
My Henry is also crazy. We would not want him to go on an Antarctic expedition. He would pull us all down into a crevasse.
No. Yeah. He would push us.
Oh, no.
In excitement, he would push us.
Kaitlyn would pull out the dehydrated food bag and everyone would go
I couldn't
down.
bring Henry because I would feed him all my food.
Oh.
I'm like, you want a tweet? You can have a tweet, my little boy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's crazy, but we love him.
Oh my gosh. Anywho.
Henry is also my Antarctica.
Yes. Yes.
All right, guys. Well, we'll let you go for this week, but we'll be back next week with the third. And I don't know if that's going to be the final part. No, for sure, cap at 4 parts. Maybe we'll do an extra long third part. We'll see how our reading voices are going that day. But yeah. In the meantime, as we have talked about, particularly with Antarctica, the world is an absolutely terrifying place. So always remember to have courage and stay kind.
Of a bitch.
Bye.